Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I just want to talk about this concept that I borrowed from First Man, and is integral to this channel's foundation. And today I'm just going to give a little overview on it, and then we'll talk about it in more detail in future videos, hopefully. So, guys, the concept is the straight seven system. It's a very simple concept that I'll explain very shortly. And it is to be a straight seven across the board in most facets of a man's life, right? So I'll just list out a few things. And if you can be a 7 out of 10 in these things, then your life will be way better than someone who's a 10 out of 10 in one or two of these things. And then like a 3 or a 4 in all the other departments, right? And those few things are, well, number one, your wealth, right? If you can get to a 6 or a 7 or an 8 out of 10 in terms of wealth, you've got a very good life ahead of you. But you also want to have a straight 7 across all these other things that I'm going to mention to have the perfect life, I'd say, right? And the second thing would be looks, right? You got to be a 7 out of 10. And every guy can easily be a 7 out of 10, no matter how ugly you think you are, or how short you were born, or how fat you think you are right now. Whatever your insecurity is, it does not matter, guys. Any guy can be a 7 out of 10 in terms of looks by just putting a little bit of work in, right? And I think we will talk more about looks maxing and how to be better looking in a very short period of time. Obviously, some things will take time, some things will take work, but essentially most things can be changed by a little change in haircut, a little change in beard, a little change in your grooming routine and all that stuff. We'll talk about that in a later video, but for now, looks is the second thing you want to strive to be a 6 to an 8 out of 10, somewhere along those lines, 7 preferably, right? The third thing being your body, and I think looks and body are very interconnected. You have a good looking body, your look improves, your posture improves, the way you carry yourself improves, your body language improves. So essentially, looks and body are very interconnected. But if you can have a 7 out of 10 body, that's very, very good. No girl's looking for an aesthetic Jeff Seed or fucking I don't know, Connor Murphy type of lad. If you have a good looking body that is aesthetic compared to most people, and you can look at it and go, yeah, I'd give myself a 7 out of 10. It's a very good body to have. Number three, guys, life setup, right? How you set up your life. And this, I think, is connected to the wealth. Obviously, you need a certain amount of wealth to have a good life setup. But then again, I feel like someone who earns, let's say, was on a 10 out of 10 in terms of wealth, let's say Bill Gates, right? And someone who's at a 7 out of 10, let's say earning around 150K a year, can have very similar life setups. In fact, I think someone who's earning the 150K can have a better life setup than Bill Gates, because Bill Gates or someone who's earning, I don't know, and it was a billionaire in terms of that, in terms of wealth, probably doesn't have time to set up their life well, right? They're probably still driving a shitty car, and their house is not amazingly maintained. They might have a ginormous house, but you know things are just there that aren't particularly of their own interest. They're just lying around. But compare that to the guy who's earning 150K a year, right? He knows exactly how small his house is. Let's say it's a two-bedroom apartment, but he set it up in such a great way that anybody who comes there knows that this guy's living life to the fullest, right? He has the best furniture. He has the cleanest shelves, and he's getting a cleaner in every week or every 2 weeks to make his house look nice and shiny. Have everything placed in order. It's looking neat, right? That kind of life setup, I think only a guy who has a little bit of time for himself can manage. Someone who's a billionaire, who's working all the time, who doesn't even have to stay in one place because he can't, doesn't have that kind of life setup, I feel like, right? So that's the fourth point. Uh, the fifth point and the sixth point are your personality and your dressing sense. Uh, if you can get on a 7 out of 10 in terms of your dressing sense, guys, uh, wear nice and fitted clothes, smell nice, uh, just just have a good style, have your own style. Don't Doesn't have to be a copy and paste style from someone else, but have a good style, right? Wear nice clothes, wear clean clothes, wear well-fitted clothes, not your 3-year-old torn hoodie, but a nice turtleneck sweater maybe, or a nice woolen sweater. That's just my style. That's the way I roll. But it doesn't have to be that. Just something that suits you, fits you well, and isn't extravagant, is normal. I think we talked about this in an early video about dressing normally, right? And then come to your personality. I think that you can develop through reading books, through becoming more humorous, through being a good being a good talker, being a good listener, and essentially just sympathizing with people and empathizing with them, being emotionally intelligent, being in the moment when you're talking to someone, giving them the full attention. I think if you can get those areas sorted, you can get your personality up to a 6 or a 7 out of 10 very, very easily. And when you get to a 7 out of 10 all those 6 areas, guys, your life is bound to improve. Your life is bound to be the best it can be. Every guy would want to be you. Every woman would want to be with you, because that is essentially the guy that makes the most moves, right? You see Bill Gates, or you see Jeff Bezos, or you see Elon Musk. Guys are very rich, but they're lacking in all these other departments that I talk about. I'm sure Elon Musk doesn't have the life setup that I have in my mind planned for myself. I'm sure of that, right? I'm sure, well, I know that Elon Musk does not have a 7 out of 10 body, in my opinion. Or Bill Gates does not have a 7 out of 10 body, in my opinion. None of these guys are great dressers, right? They don't dress amazingly well. They wear all these loose fitted suits. When was the last time you saw Bill Gates rolling around and you were like, oh, the guy's looking good? Never, right? Yes, he's rich. Yes, he's successful. Has all my respect for that. He's a 10 on 10 in that area. But all his other areas, he's probably a 3 or 4 or 5 out of 10 at max, right? So you wouldn't see a guy going around saying, I want to be Bill Gates most of the time. Maybe some guy out there, but most times no one is fighting to be Bill Gates. But you know who someone would fight to be in place of? Someone who has a net worth of, let's say, $5 million, earns around 200 to 300K a year, uh, dresses well, has a good body. That's the kind of guy every guy wants to be. Has some downtime for himself, has hobbies, likes to read, probably enjoys some martial arts, or has some sort of sport that he enjoys, has enough time for his friends, his relationships, has enough time for his family. That's the guy most people envy. That's the guy most people want to be. And to be that guy, you got to be a straight 7 across the board. That's essentially what the straight 7 system is. We'll talk more about this in future videos, and I will definitely make videos on how to achieve the 7 out of 10 status in each one of those things I mentioned and more. And I'll also let you guys know where I stand, honestly, or at least how I think where I stand. And then you guys will have a better, scale to measure yourself against. So if I stand at, let's say, a 5 out of 10 when it comes to body, then where do you stand? You've all seen my body. I've posted a few pictures on my Instagram. I've posted a few, pictures on thumbnails of these videos. So if I'm a 5 out of 10 on my body, where do you stand, right? I'm a 2 out of 10 on my wealth. Where do you stand? I'm a 5 out of 10 on my looks. Where do you stand? And I'm not saying that I'm going to stay here. No, obviously I'm only 22 years old. At each and every single one of these things, I'm going to improve and get to a 7 or an 8. That's what self-improvement is all about, right? But this is where I stand right now. I think my dressing sense is immaculate. I think I'm a very, very good dresser, and I would put that around 6.5, 7 out of 10 for myself, right? I think I know my style. I think I know the way I dress. I've got a lot of compliments on it. So that is one thing I'm very confident about. And I'd say I've already achieved the 7 out of 10 in that regard. As far as my personality is concerned, I think maybe a 4, maybe 4 out of 10, 3.5, 4 out of 10. Needs a lot of work still, I feel like. So we're going to have to improve on that, right? But that's where I stand on most of the things I listed out. So where do you guys stand there? Give yourself an honest assessment, and then you start working towards 7. And by the time you're 30, 35 years old, when you start hitting your peak, when a man starts hitting their peak, you're a 7 out of 10 across the board. You will be living your best life. You will have the best life set up. You will have wealth enough to not only for yourself, but your family and someone you want to pay for outside. You'll have enough. You'll be a good-looking dude. If you've lost a few hairs, there's always, hair transplants. and all that stuff. So by the time you're 35, you will be looks maxed in that way, and you would be a 7 out of 10 in your looks. Just after you start putting the work in now and you're consistent with it, by the time you're 35, like I said, you'll have the best life in the world by achieving and by working towards the straight 7 system. So guys, that's all you need to do. If you incorporate improving in these 6 areas of your life and try to get to a 7 out of 10 in each area, you will have the best life you're looking for. So keep working towards these goals, guys, and until next time, I love you.